Blood drained from Judge Henderson's face as he stared at the gruesome photographs spread across his bench showing $3 million missing from Hope Foundation meant for dying children. The courtroom fell silent as rising star attorney Catherine Chen stood confidently beside her client Amanda Foster, the foundation's beloved CEO, whose reputation for charitable work spanned 2 decades, yet whose mansion purchase had triggered an anonymous tip. That fateful morning, the gallery was packed with reporters, their pens poised to capture every detail of what the media had dubbed the charity scandal of the decade. The evidence presented by District Attorney Michael Reynolds painted a devastating picture of systematic fraud that had allegedly occurred over 5 years, showing spreadsheets of diverted funds meant for children's cancer treatments instead flowing into luxury car purchases, exotic vacations, and offshore accounts. Amanda Foster sat motionless, her emerald green blazer and perfectly styled hair creating an image of composure that seemed almost unnatural given the circumstances, while her daughter Lucy continued coloring in the back row supervised by Amanda's elderly mother. Catherine Chen approached the bench, her heels clicking against the marble floor as she presented a motion to dismiss based on insufficient evidence, her voice carrying the confidence of someone who had never lost a case in her 7-year career. The young attorney had become known for taking on impossible cases and finding the hidden threads that unraveled the prosecution's carefully woven narratives, yet even the most optimistic observers wondered if she had finally met her match. The prosecution called their first witness Barbara Thompson, the foundation's former financial director, who had worked closely with Amanda for over a decade. Barbara took the stand, her hands visibly shaking as she recounted discovering discrepancies in the charitable organization's books during a routine audit. Her testimony described how donation funds meant for purchasing medical equipment had vanished without trace. The elderly woman broke down in tears as she described confronting Amanda only to be fired the next day. Security footage played on the courtroom screens, showing Amanda entering the foundation's offices at odd hours of the night, always alone, always carrying a black leather briefcase that she never brought during normal business hours. The timestamp showed consistent patterns over months, suggesting a calculated effort to avoid detection. District Attorney Reynolds emphasized how these visits coincided perfectly with large transfers of money to various shell companies. Lucy Foster continued drawing, seemingly unaware of the gravity of the situation, her small fingers clutching crayons as she created colorful pictures of what appeared to be unicorns and rainbows, occasionally looking up at her mother with complete adoration. The contrast between the child's innocent activity and the serious allegations being discussed created an atmosphere of uncomfortable tension in the courtroom. Judge Henderson called for a brief recess as the prosecution prepared to present their star witness James Morgan, the foundation's head accountant who claimed to have documented evidence of every fraudulent transaction. Catherine Chen used this opportunity to confer with her client, their whispered conversation drawing curious glances from the jury, while Amanda maintained her composure, her only sign of stress being the way she continuously twisted her pearl necklace. The media cameras focused on Amanda as she briefly walked over to her daughter during the recess, kneeling down to admire the drawings Lucy had created. Their tender interaction causing several jurors to exchange thoughtful glances, the human element of the case becoming impossible to ignore as the 6-year-old proudly showed her mother a drawing of their family standing in front of what appeared to be the Hope Foundation building. The prosecution team huddled around District Attorney Reynolds, their urgent whispers and concerned expressions suggesting that something unexpected had occurred. During the recess, Catherine Chen watched them intently, her sharp eyes missing nothing as she made notes in her leather-bound notebook, occasionally glancing at the evidence table where financial documents lay spread out like a paper trail of betrayal. As the court prepared to resume session, the tension in the room reached a fever pitch. Reporters scribbled frantically in their notepads, trying to capture every detail of what was already being called the trial of the decade. The fate of not only Amanda Foster hung in the balance, but also the future of Hope Foundation and the countless children who depended on its support for their medical treatments. The weight of $3 million in missing funds and the lives it could have saved seemed to press down on everyone present, creating an atmosphere of collective held breath as James Morgan prepared to take the stand. Gasps echoed through the courtroom as star witness James Morgan, the foundation's accountant, revealed how he had discovered hidden accounts and forged signatures. Late one night, while working overtime, his hands trembled as he pointed at Amanda, who sat unmoved, her designer suit and pearl necklace gleaming under the harsh lights, while her 6-year-old daughter Lucy colored quietly in the back row, seemingly oblivious to her mother's potential fate. Morgan adjusted his wire-rimmed glasses as he methodically detailed spreadsheets showing systematic theft spanning half a decade. District Attorney Reynolds guided Morgan through his testimony, presenting financial records that showed elaborate schemes to divert charitable donations into a complex web of shell companies. The accountant explained how he had noticed subtle discrepancies in the foundation's quarterly reports, leading him to dig deeper into historical records. His voice grew stronger as he described late-night investigations conducted in secret, fearing that his discoveries might put him in danger. The jury leaned forward collectively as Morgan reviewed a series of photographs taken on his phone showing Amanda entering and leaving the foundation offices at 3 in the morning on multiple occasions. The timestamps matched perfectly with large monetary transfers to offshore accounts in the Cayman Islands. His testimony painted a picture of a calculating executive who had manipulated her position of trust to steal from dying children. Catherine Chen watched Morgan intently, her dark eyes never leaving his face as he spoke, occasionally making notes in her leather-bound notebook. Her reputation for catching witnesses in their own lies had become legendary in legal circles, yet Morgan seemed unshakable as he presented document after document supporting his claims. The evidence appeared overwhelming even to the most skeptical observers. Lucy continued her artistic endeavors in the back of the courtroom, now drawing what appeared to be stick figures in business suits, her grandmother occasionally stroking her hair. As the damning testimony continued, the child hummed softly to herself, creating an eerily innocent counterpoint to the dark narrative unfolding before the court. Her presence served as a stark reminder of the human cost of the alleged crimes. Morgan produced emails showing correspondence between Amanda and various offshore banking entities, his testimony revealing how she had allegedly used foundation funds to purchase the multi-million-dollar mansion, luxury vehicles, and even a private yacht. The prosecution displayed photographs of these acquisitions on the courtroom screens, while Amanda maintained her composure, though her knuckles whitened as she gripped the edge of the defense table. The atmosphere in the courtroom grew heavier as Morgan described confronting Amanda about his discoveries, claiming she had threatened his job and his family if he dared to expose the truth. He produced a recorded conversation that seemed to capture Amanda making veiled threats, his voice breaking with emotion as he recounted the fear and moral conflict he had experienced in the weeks leading up to his decision to contact authorities. Catherine Chen rose for cross-examination, her silk blazer catching the fluorescent lights. As she approached the witness stand, Morgan shifted uncomfortably in his seat as she began her questioning. Her reputation for destroying witness credibility preceding her, the gallery held its collective breath, waiting to see how she would attempt to dismantle his seemingly airtight testimony. The defense attorney began by establishing Morgan's background, his 20 years of accounting experience, his stellar reputation, and his close working relationship with Amanda Foster. She seemed to be building him up rather than tearing him down, causing confusion among observers. District Attorney Reynolds watched with growing unease as Chen appeared to strengthen rather than weaken the prosecution's star witness. Lucy suddenly dropped her crayon, creating a sharp sound that echoed through the courtroom, drawing all eyes momentarily to her small figure. Morgan glanced at the child, his composure cracking slightly as she began a new drawing, this time of what appeared to be the foundation building, complete with stick figure people entering and leaving the building at night. Catherine Chen noticed his reaction, her eyes narrowing almost imperceptibly. The defense attorney shifted her questioning to focus on specific dates and times, asking Morgan to confirm his whereabouts during crucial periods he had documented. She produced security logs showing card access to the building matching the timestamps of the suspicious transfers. His confidence began to waver as Chen methodically established a pattern that seemed to contradict his earlier testimony. The jury exchanged glances as inconsistencies in his timeline began to emerge. The prosecution painted a picture of calculated deception, showing security footage of late night office visits, lavish vacations, and offshore accounts. Catherine Chen remained eerily calm as each piece of evidence mounted against her client, occasionally glancing at little Lucy, whose crayon suddenly rolled across the courtroom floor, drawing all eyes to her innocent presence. The tension in the courtroom reached a breaking point as District Attorney Reynolds called his next witness, Sarah Martinez, the foundation's its specialist whose testimony promised to provide digital proof of Amanda's guilt. Martinez took the stand, her technical expertise evident as she explained the sophisticated digital trail she had uncovered showing unauthorized access to the foundation's financial systems. The evidence appeared damning as she displayed login records matching the times Amanda had been caught on security cameras entering the building late at night. Her testimony reinforced James Morgan's earlier claims, creating what seemed to be an unbreakable chain of evidence. The jury watched intently as complex financial diagrams appeared on the courtroom screens, showing the flow of money through various shell companies and offshore accounts. Martinez traced each transaction methodically, explaining how the funds had been systematically diverted from children's medical care programs to private accounts linked to Amanda Foster. The technical nature of the evidence made it seem irrefutable, while Amanda maintained her stoic demeanor, her eyes frequently drifting to her daughter. Lucy had moved to sitting closer to the front of the gallery, now her small fingers still clutching her crayons as she drew with intense concentration. Her presence created an unsettling contrast to the clinical discussion of stolen funds and betrayed trust. Occasionally, she would look up at the screen showing her mother's alleged crimes, her young mind seemingly processing the images in her own unique way. Catherine Chen cross-examined Martinez with surgical precision, focusing on the security protocols of the foundation's computer systems. Her questions revealed that multiple employees had access to the financial software, including James Morgan. The IT specialist admitted that login credentials could have been compromised without the user's knowledge, creating the first crack in the prosecution's seemingly perfect case. The atmosphere shifted subtly as Chen produced records showing unauthorized access attempts from IP addresses not associated with Amanda Foster's known devices. Martinez appeared flustered as she was forced to acknowledge that the foundation's cybersecurity had been flagged as vulnerable during a recent audit. Her testimony began to unravel as Chen methodically exposed holes in the digital evidence. District Attorney Reynolds attempted to redirect the questioning back to the security footage showing Amanda entering the building at suspicious hours, but Chen objected, pointing out that the foundation's late-night access logs showed multiple employees working overtime during the same periods. The jury seemed less certain now as reasonable doubt began to creep into the prosecution's narrative. Lucy suddenly stood up, walking towards her mother. With a drawing in hand, the bailiff moved to intercept her, but Judge Henderson waved him off, allowing the child to approach the defense table. Amanda embraced her daughter briefly as Lucy proudly displayed her artwork. The moment humanized the defendant in a way that no testimony could counter. Several jurors visibly softened at the interaction. The prosecution called their final witness for the day, Robert Chang, a forensic accountant who had analyzed the complex web of financial transactions. His testimony aimed to rebuild the case against Amanda by demonstrating the mathematical impossibility of the missing funds being merely accounting errors. Chang presented detailed charts showing the correlation between foundation withdrawals and deposits into various luxury purchases. Catherine Chen watched Chang intently as he testified, her expression revealing nothing, yet her occasional glances at Lucy suggested she was formulating a strategy. The child had returned to her seat, but now appeared to be drawing something specific, her small face scrunched in concentration as she recreated what looked like numbers and signatures from the documents displayed in court. The day concluded with Chang Still on the stand, his testimony painting a compelling picture of financial misconduct, yet the seeds of doubt planted during Martinez's cross-examination had taken root. The jury no longer seemed as convinced of Amanda's guilt, particularly as they watched Lucy run to her mother at the day's end, her innocent trust in sharp contrast to the prosecution's portrayal of a calculating criminal. As the courtroom emptied, Catherine Chen remained at the defense table reviewing her notes, her expression suggesting she had discovered something significant in the day's testimony. Amanda sat beside her. They spoke in hushed tones, while Lucy continued drawing nearby, her crayons now moving across the paper in deliberate patterns that seemed to echo the financial diagrams shown earlier in court, setting the stage for an unexpected turn of events that would unfold in the days to come. Thunder crashed outside as Lucy wandered to retrieve her crayon. Stopping near the evidence table, her small hand reached up and grabbed one of the financial documents, using it as impromptu drawing paper. Before anyone could stop her, the bailiff rushed to retrieve the paper, but Lucy spoke up in her clear voice, declaring that the signature looked different from Mommy's special way of drawing stars. The courtroom erupted into chaos as Catherine Chen immediately requested permission to approach the bench, her eyes alight with sudden understanding. Judge Henderson called for order as Lucy continued to explain her observation, pointing at various signatures on the documents spread across the evidence table, her innocent commentary drawing everyone's attention to details that had previously gone unnoticed. The prosecution team scrambled to contain the situation, but the child had inadvertently triggered a chain of events that would unravel their carefully constructed case. District Attorney Reynolds objected vigorously, arguing that a child's observations could not be considered credible evidence, but Catherine Chen countered by requesting an immediate examination of all signed documents by a forensic handwriting expert, her voice carrying the confidence of someone who had just discovered a crucial piece of evidence. Lucy stood at the center of the commotion, still holding the document that had sparked the controversy. The judge ordered a brief recess to consider the defense's request, during which Lucy sat at the defense table with her mother, explaining in detail how they always played their special signature game, adding tiny stars above the letters. Amanda Foster broke down for the first time since the trial began, tears streaming down her face as she hugged her daughter. Catherine Chen quickly summoned her team's handwriting expert, requesting emergency analysis of all financial documents. Court resumed with tension thick in the air as Dr. Elizabeth Wong, a renowned forensic document examiner, took the stand. Her preliminary analysis of the signatures revealed disturbing inconsistencies in what were supposedly Amanda Foster's signatures. The expert methodically detailed the differences, pointing out subtle variations that would be impossible for the same person to produce consistently. Lucy watched from her seat, now completely invested in the proceedings, her crayons forgotten as she nodded along with Dr. Wong's explanation, occasionally whispering to her grandmother about how she and Mommy always made their special stars. The jury paid careful attention to the child's reactions, their earlier skepticism transforming into genuine interest in this unexpected development. Catherine Chen presented a series of authentic documents signed by Amanda Foster during her tenure as CEO, including thank you letters to donors, charity event programs, and official foundation correspondence, each bearing the distinctive star marking that Lucy had mentioned. Dr. Wong confirmed that these signatures matched perfectly, while the allegedly fraudulent documents showed clear signs of forgery. The prosecution attempted to maintain their stance, suggesting that Amanda could have deliberately altered her signature to create plausible deniability, but Lucy innocently interrupted again, describing how she had helped her mother sign hundreds of Christmas cards for foundation donors just months ago, each one bearing their special star signature. Several jurors smiled at her earnest testimony, while others began examining the evidence with renewed scrutiny. James Morgan shifted uncomfortably in his seat as Catherine Chen requested permission to recall him to the stand. Her request granted, Morgan faced aggressive questioning about his knowledge of Amanda's signature peculiarities. his earlier confidence crumbling as Chen produced security footage showing him alone in Amanda's office late at night on multiple occasions. Lucy continued her impromptu testimony from the gallery, explaining how Uncle James, as she called him, had once tried to practice drawing the stars while visiting their home for dinner, but could never get them quite right. Her innocent observation caused Morgan to pale visibly, while District Attorney Reynolds attempted to object to the unorthodox proceedings. The courtroom descended into further chaos as Catherine Chen produced new evidence recovered from the Foundation's backup servers showing unauthorized access to digital signature files from Morgan's computer, the timestamps matching perfectly with the dates of the fraudulent documents. Lucy watched the proceedings with wide eyes, occasionally making star patterns in the air with her finger demonstrating the proper technique. Judge Henderson struggled to maintain order as this unexpected turn of events transformed the entire direction of the trial. The prosecution team huddled together in urgent consultation while Catherine Chen stood confidently beside her client, the weight of $3 million in missing funds suddenly shifting away from Amanda Foster as Lucy unwittingly continued to dismantle the case against her mother, one crayon drawing at a time. The young girl described in her innocent way how she had seen Miss Margaret taking money from the special drawer where parents' payments were kept and putting it in her purple bag with a butterfly. Emma had noticed this happening multiple times during her afternoon nap time when she couldn't sleep. Wong continued her detailed analysis of the signatures, bringing decades of forensic experience to bear on the documents that Lucy had first questioned, her findings growing more definitive with each comparison. The jury leaned forward collectively as Wong displayed magnified images of the signatures side by side, the authentic ones bearing the distinctive star marking, while the fraudulent documents showed subtle signs of digital manipulation. Her testimony revealed that the forged signatures had been created using a sophisticated computer program designed to replicate handwriting patterns but had failed to capture the personalized elements that Lucy had so innocently identified. James Morgan began to visibly sweat as Catherine Chen produced additional evidence recovered from the Foundation's computer systems showing that his login credentials had been used to access the digital signature software multiple times during the suspicious late-night visits. His earlier confident testimony crumbling as technical logs revealed a pattern of systematic forgery. The prosecution team watched helplessly as their star witness transformed into their primary suspect. Lucy continued her spontaneous commentary from her seat, now fully engaged in the proceedings, her childish voice carrying across the courtroom as she shared memories of helping her mother prepare donation acknowledgement letters every Sunday afternoon after church. Her detailed descriptions of their signature ritual, including the precise angle of the stars and the order in which they were drawn, provided authenticity that no expert witness could match. District Attorney Reynolds attempted to salvage his case, suggesting that Amanda could have coached her daughter to provide this testimony, but Lucy innocently countered his implications by demonstrating her signature star technique on a blank piece of paper, her natural, unrehearsed actions drawing appreciative murmurs from the jury, while Catherine Chen smiled quietly, knowing the child had accomplished what hours of expert testimony could not. The courtroom watched in amazement as Lucy retrieved her crayon drawings from earlier in the trial, spreading them across the defense table, each picture signed with her own version of the star signature. She explained how she had been practicing to make them just like Mommy since she was 4 years old, her artistic journey documented in countless drawings that now served as inadvertent evidence of the signature's authenticity. Wong returned to the stand with additional findings showing that the fraudulent signatures had been created using a specific software program found only on James Morgan's computer. Forensic analysis revealed multiple attempts to perfect the forgery, including deleted files showing practice versions of the signature without the characteristic star marking. Lucy pointed excitedly at the screen, recognizing the failed attempts she had previously mentioned seeing at their home. Catherine Chen methodically built upon Lucy's revelation, presenting evidence of large deposits into offshore accounts registered to shell companies traced back to James Morgan, the financial threads unraveling to expose a complex scheme of embezzlement and framing that had nearly succeeded in destroying Amanda Foster's reputation and the foundation she had built. The prosecution team sat in stunned silence as the case collapsed around them. Morgan, now the focus of intense scrutiny, as financial records revealed gambling debts and suspicious transactions that aligned perfectly with the missing foundation funds. Lucy watched the proceedings with innocent curiosity, occasionally trading knowing looks with her mother as years of their special signature ritual proved to be the key to uncovering the truth. Judge Henderson called for order as the courtroom erupted into discussion following the revelation of bank statements showing Morgan had recently purchased property in a non extradition country, the evidence mounting against him growing stronger with each passing moment, while Amanda Foster sat quietly, tears of relief streaming down her face as she watched her daughter unknowingly save both her freedom and her life's work. Lucy approached the bench one final time, clutching a fresh drawing she had just completed showing stick figures of herself and her mother signing documents together, complete with perfectly placed stars above each signature. The judge accepted her artwork with grave ceremony, acknowledging that sometimes the most powerful testimony comes from the purest sources, while Catherine Chen moved to fire motions that would forever change the direction of this landmark case. The courthouse erupted into chaos as Margaret Watson attempted to flee the courtroom but was quickly detained by court officers. The judge ordered an immediate investigation, and Sarah broke down in tears as she realized her daughter's chance observation would prove her innocence. The dramatic scene unfolded as security footage was hastily retrieved, showing Watson making late-night visits to the foundation office on dates matching the fraudulent transactions. James Morgan broke under the mounting pressure, his composed facade crumbling as Catherine Chen presented evidence linking him directly to the missing funds. Bank records revealed systematic transfers to accounts controlled by offshore entities that traced back to his personal holdings, while Lucy continued drawing at the defense table, occasionally looking up to watch the man she had once called Uncle James being questioned by the authorities. District Attorney Reynolds found himself in the unprecedented position of requesting to withdraw all charges against Amanda Foster while simultaneously moving to file new charges against James Morgan. The prosecution team scrambled to reorganize their evidence, now viewing it through an entirely different lens. As the true architect of the scheme emerged, Morgan sat slumped in his chair, his expensive suit now wrinkled and damp with nervous perspiration. Catherine Chen seized the momentum, presenting a detailed timeline that showed how Morgan had manipulated the foundation's financial systems, using his position as head accountant to create a perfect smokescreen for his activities. The evidence included surveillance footage, travel records, and banking transactions that painted a picture of calculated deception spanning several years, by systematically positioning Amanda Foster as the perfect scapegoat. Lucy unwittingly continued to provide crucial context, sharing stories about times she had visited the foundation office with her mother on weekends, describing how Uncle James would often be there, claiming to work overtime. Her innocent observations now carried weight as they perfectly aligned with the timestamps of fraudulent transactions and system access logs. The jury watched in amazement as the child unknowingly dismantled the elaborate scheme. The judge ordered a brief recess as new warrants were prepared to search Morgan's residence and office spaces. Amanda Foster embraced her daughter tightly, whispering words of gratitude, while Catherine Chen conferred with forensic accountants who were now racing to trace the full extent of the embezzlement. The courtroom buzzed with activity as years of financial manipulation began to unravel. When court resumed, Morgan faced additional questioning about his gambling debts and connections to offshore betting operations, his carefully constructed lies dissolving under the weight of evidence, while Lucy innocently hummed a tune, her presence serving as a constant reminder of how the truth had emerged from the most unexpected source. Federal agents entered the courtroom with preliminary findings from their search of Morgan's home, including documents showing plans to leave the country. The foundation's board members, who had been watching the proceedings in shock, now approached Amanda Foster, offering tearful apologies for doubting her integrity, while Lucy proudly showed them her latest drawings, complete with her practice star signatures. The child remained remarkably unaware of how her simple observation about her mother's signature had exposed a multi-million-dollar fraud scheme. Catherine Chen methodically detailed how Morgan had used his technical expertise to create perfect forgeries of financial documents while systematically building a false trail leading to Amanda Foster. The complexity of his scheme, now exposed, revealed years of careful planning that had nearly succeeded in destroying an innocent woman's life and reputation. The jury listened intently as Chen reconstructed the timeline of deception. Amanda Foster finally took the stand. Her testimony, now focused on clearing her name rather than defending against false accusations. She described her dedication to the foundation and the children it served, while Lucy watched proudly from her seat, occasionally adding innocent commentary about their work together, signing thank you letters, and visiting sick children in hospitals. Her mother's genuine emotion touching even the most skeptical observers. The day concluded with federal agents leading Morgan away in handcuffs, while Lucy waved goodbye to the man who had betrayed her mother's trust. Catherine Chen filed motions to expedite the dismissal of all charges against Amanda Foster, while simultaneously working to secure the recovery of stolen funds from Morgan's hidden accounts. The courtroom slowly emptied, but the impact of the day's events would echo through the legal community for years to come. Further investigation revealed that Margaret Watson had been orchestrating an elaborate scheme to frame Sarah. She had manipulated the computer records and planted false evidence, knowing Sarah would be the obvious suspect as the person responsible for handling payments. Federal investigators descended upon James Morgan's residence, discovering a hidden safe containing multiple hard drives filled with encrypted financial data, passport applications for various countries, and detailed notes outlining his plan to disappear once the verdict had been reached. The technical team worked through the night decrypting Morgan's files, revealing a complex network of shell companies and offshore accounts designed to launder the stolen foundation funds. Forensic accountants traced transactions, showing how he had systematically diverted money while creating an elaborate paper trail implicating Amanda Foster. Their findings unveiled a scheme so sophisticated that it had initially fooled even the most experienced investigators. Lucy continued her daily visits to the courthouse, now treated as something of a mascot by the court officers who had watched her innocent observations unravel a criminal enterprise. The child spent her time creating elaborate drawings of courtroom scenes, complete with her signature stars, while federal agents uncovered more evidence supporting her accidental testimony about Morgan's late-night activities. Catherine Chen presented the newly discovered evidence to Judge Henderson, detailing how Morgan had used his position to manipulate not only financial records but also the foundation's entire digital infrastructure. Computer logs revealed systematic deletion of security footage on specific dates corresponding to large transfers, while sophisticated software had been used to backdate transactions, creating a false timeline that pointed to Amanda. The prosecution team, now working alongside Chen to build a case against Morgan, discovered additional victims of his scheme. Other charitable organizations had reported similar financial discrepancies, all bearing the same forensic signatures as the Hope Foundation case. Lucy watched with curiosity as new faces filled the courtroom, each sharing stories that matched her mother's experience, while Amanda Foster offered comfort to others who had faced similar false accusations. Morgan refused to cooperate with investigators, maintaining his silence as evidence mounted against him, but his carefully constructed world continued to crumble as international authorities froze accounts linked to his operation. Computer forensics revealed communications with known criminal enterprises, suggesting the foundation scheme was merely part of a larger network of financial fraud. Amanda Foster worked tirelessly with foundation staff to rebuild trust with donors and families affected by the missing funds. Lucy accompanied her mother to meetings where her presence served as a powerful reminder of how truth can emerge from unexpected sources. The child remained remarkably unchanged by her role in the events, occasionally asking innocent questions that continued to provide investigators with new leads. The FBI cybercrime unit uncovered encrypted messages between Morgan and overseas contacts, revealing plans to establish a new identity in a country without extradition agreements. Their investigation expanded to include international wire fraud and conspiracy charges, while Lucy drew pictures of her mother helping sick children, her artwork now decorating the foundation offices as a symbol of restored hope. Catherine Chen coordinated with international law enforcement to trace and recover the stolen funds, discovering accounts hidden in multiple jurisdictions. The complex web of financial transactions began to unravel as pressure mounted on Morgan's overseas associates, many choosing to cooperate rather than face extensive criminal charges themselves. The Foundation Board convened emergency sessions to implement new financial controls and oversight measures. Amanda Foster led the effort to restructure the organization's governance, while Lucy attended meetings, clutching her crayons and occasionally offering surprisingly insightful comments about making sure the stars always matched her presence, serving as a constant reminder of the importance of authenticity. Morgan finally broke his silence as evidence of additional crimes surfaced. His confession, revealing a decades-long pattern of financial fraud targeting charitable organizations. His detailed testimony exposed weaknesses in non-profit oversight that had allowed him to operate undetected for years, while Lucy innocently colored nearby, unaware that her simple observation of signatures had triggered the collapse of a criminal empire. The international financial community took notice of the case, implementing new protocols for verification of charitable organization transactions, while Lucy proudly showed visitors to the foundation her growing collection of star signatures, her innocent artistic practice having evolved into a symbol of financial security and trust. Amanda Foster worked with regulatory agencies to develop enhanced protection measures for nonprofit organizations. Federal prosecutors expanded their investigation to include Morgan's known associates, uncovering a network of financial professionals who had aided his schemes, while Lucy continued her daily routine of helping her mother sign donor thank you cards, a special star ritual now famous throughout the charitable giving community as a symbol of authentic leadership and transparency in nonprofit management. The day concluded with investigators announcing the recovery of significant portions of the stolen funds, while Lucy celebrated by creating a new drawing showing her mother and the foundation team helping children, her artwork now carrying deeper meaning as a testament to the power of innocent observation in the face of sophisticated criminal enterprises. The case against Sarah was dismissed, and new charges were filed against Margaret Watson, who eventually confessed to the crime, explaining that gambling debts had driven her to steal and frame an innocent employee. Physical evidence was discovered in Margaret's home, including the purple butterfly bag Emma had described. Federal investigators worked through the night cataloging evidence recovered from James Morgan's multiple properties, discovering a network of hidden accounts that stretched across 12 countries and implicated several high-ranking financial professionals. International law enforcement agencies coordinated their efforts to freeze assets linked to Morgan's criminal enterprise, while Lucy continued her daily courthouse visits. Now treated as an honorary member of the legal team, her innocent drawings of courtroom scenes, complete with perfectly placed stars, had become sought-after souvenirs among the federal agents working the case, their walls decorated with her artistic interpretations of justice in action. Catherine Chen presented comprehensive evidence showing how Morgan had systematically targeted charitable organizations, exploiting their trust and minimal oversight to orchestrate elaborate fraud schemes. Computer forensics revealed a pattern spanning 15 years during which he had perfected his technique of framing innocent employees while building a fortune from stolen donations. Lucy watched the proceedings with interest, occasionally asking questions that inadvertently led investigators to new discoveries. Amanda Foster worked tirelessly alongside Foundation staff to implement new security measures and restore donor confidence, while Lucy maintained her ritual of adding stars to every signature, her small act of authenticity having evolved into a symbol of trust within the charitable giving community. International media outlets covered the story of how a child's innocent observation had exposed one of the largest charity fraud schemes in history. The Foundation Board convened emergency sessions to address the systemic vulnerabilities Morgan had exploited. Amanda Foster led the effort to develop new protocols for financial oversight, while Lucy attended meetings drawing pictures of happy children benefiting from the Foundation's worker presence, serving as a powerful reminder of the human impact of both charitable work and financial crimes. Morgan faced additional charges as evidence emerged of tax evasion, money laundering, and conspiracy spanning multiple jurisdictions. His network of criminal associates began to crumble as plea deals were offered in exchange for cooperation. Lucy remained blissfully focused on her artistic pursuits, occasionally providing surprisingly relevant commentary about trust and authenticity that found its way into official training materials. International financial regulators studied the case, implementing new requirements for charitable organization oversight, while Lucy proudly displayed her growing collection of star signatures, her innocent artistic practice having transformed into a recognized symbol of financial integrity. Amanda Foster collaborated with regulatory agencies to develop enhanced protection measures for non-profit organizations worldwide. The recovered funds began flowing back into the foundation, enabling the restart of crucial programs for critically ill children. Lucy accompanied her mother to hospital visits, where her drawings brought smiles to young patients' faces, while Amanda worked to rebuild trust with families affected by the temporary suspension of services. The child's natural empathy and creativity helping to heal wounds caused by Morgan's betrayal. Catherine Chen coordinated with prosecutors to ensure maximum recovery of stolen assets while building a case that would reshape non-profit financial regulations. Lucy continued her courthouse appearances, now seen as a symbolic figure representing the triumph of innocence over sophisticated criminal enterprises, her presence reminding everyone involved of the human cost of financial fraud. The foundation established new scholarship programs for children interested in art and financial oversight, naming the initiative after Lucy in recognition of how her artistic observation had exposed the truth. Amanda Foster spoke at international conferences about the importance of maintaining authenticity in charitable organizations, while Lucy created illustrations for a children's book about trust and integrity. Morgan underwent extensive questioning, revealing connections to organized crime syndicates that had facilitated his international money laundering operations. Lucy remained unaffected by the growing scope of the case she had helped uncover, continuing to create artwork that captured the essence of truth and justice through a child's eyes. Her drawings, now featured in legal textbooks as examples of how obvious signs can be overlooked by experts. The international banking community implemented new protocols for tracking charitable donations, while Lucy proudly showed visitors her special star signature technique, her innocent practice having evolved into a recognized symbol of authentic leadership in nonprofit management. Amanda Foster worked with technology companies to develop advanced fraud detection systems, incorporating unexpected indicators of deception. Federal agents concluded their search of Morgan's properties, discovering evidence linking him to similar schemes at other foundations, while Lucy created a series of drawings depicting the triumph of truth over deception, her artistic interpretation of justice becoming a powerful symbol of hope for other organizations affected by fraud. Her mother using these illustrations in presentations about maintaining integrity in charitable work. The day ended with the announcements of additional fund recovery, while Lucy celebrated by drawing pictures of the foundation team helping children again, her artwork carrying profound meaning as a testament to the persistence of truth and the power of innocent observation in exposing sophisticated criminal enterprises. Sarah was fully exonerated and received a formal apology from the district attorney. The case became known throughout the legal community as the baby girl miracle, highlighting how sometimes the most powerful testimony can come from the most unexpected witnesses. Emma became the hero of the story, proving that truth can emerge from the most innocent of sources. 1 year later, the Hope Foundation had not only recovered but flourished under Amanda Foster's continued leadership, with new security measures in place, inspired by Lucy's inadvertent discovery. The foundation established an annual Truth in Philanthropy conference where Lucy, now 8 years old, opened each session by demonstrating her famous star signature technique to audiences of financial professionals, legal experts, and non-profit leaders from around the world. Her innocent observation having sparked a revolution in charitable organization security measures, while her mother shared this story as a cautionary tale about trust verification and the importance of listening to unexpected voices. James Morgan received a 30-year federal prison sentence while investigators continued to uncover the full scope of his international criminal enterprise. Lucy attended the sentencing hearing clutching her latest drawing, which depicted justice as a child holding a crayon and a star, the image becoming an iconic symbol of the case that had transformed non-profit oversight. Her artwork now permanently displayed in the courthouse lobby. Amanda Foster worked with international regulatory agencies to implement what became known as the STAR Protocol, a comprehensive system for authenticating charitable organization transactions, while Lucy continued creating illustrations for a series of children's books about integrity and trust in business. Her simple artistic style conveying complex messages about honesty and accountability to young readers worldwide. The foundation launched the Lucy Foster Scholarship for Creative Integrity, supporting young artists and future financial investigators, while Lucy herself remained charmingly unaffected by her fame, continuing to spend afternoons helping her mother sign donor thank you cards. This special ritual, now documented in financial textbooks as an example of how personal authenticity can defeat sophisticated fraud. Catherine Chen established a non-profit legal defense fund named after Lucy, providing support to charitable organizations facing similar challenges, while the young girl expanded her artistic repertoire to include detailed courtroom scenes, her unique perspective capturing moments of truth and justice that resonated with legal professionals and the public alike. International media continued to follow Lucy's story as she grew older, her journey from innocent observer to symbol of integrity, inspiring similar cases where unexpected witnesses helped expose financial crimes. The foundation thrived under new protective measures while Lucy developed her artistic talents, always maintaining the simple star signature that had changed everything. The recovered funds enabled the foundation to expand its programs supporting critically ill children, while Lucy visited hospitals sharing her artwork and teaching young patients to draw their own special signatures. Her natural ability to bring joy and authenticity to difficult situations, touching lives far beyond the original case that had made her famous. Amanda Foster received international recognition for transforming the foundation into a model of transparent charitable operations, while Lucy created a special series of drawings depicting their journey from crisis to triumph. Her artistic interpretation of events becoming part of the permanent collection at the National Museum of Justice, her childish wisdom continuing to influence institutional integrity. The legal community adopted new protocols for considering unexpected evidence, while Lucy launched her first solo art exhibition featuring drawings that told the story of truth prevailing over deception, her simple artistic style resonating with viewers who recognized the power of innocent observation in revealing hidden truths. Financial institutions worldwide implemented enhanced verification systems inspired by the Star signature case, while Lucy continued her daily routine of creating art that celebrated honesty and integrity. Her morning drawings becoming anticipated events at the foundation where staff gathered to watch her creative process unfold, each new piece carrying deeper meaning. The foundation established permanent art therapy programs in children's hospitals worldwide, while Lucy worked on illustrations for educational materials, teaching young people about financial responsibility and ethical behavior. Her unique ability to communicate complex concepts through simple drawings, making difficult subjects accessible to new generations. Amanda Foster and Catherine Chen collaborated on comprehensive reform proposals for charitable organization oversight, while Lucy created a memorable series of courtroom sketches from her distinctive childlike perspective. Her artwork, now studied in law schools, has examples of how truth can appear simple when viewed through unclouded eyes. The case concluded its final appeals, While Lucy prepared for her next adventure as both artist and inadvertent advocate for transparency in charitable giving, her journey from curious child to symbol of integrity, inspiring others to look more carefully at the world around them, seeing truth in unexpected places and wisdom in innocent observations. The story of the Star Signature trial, as it became known, transformed from a legal sensation into a lasting legacy of how pure truth can prevail over sophisticated deception, while Lucy continued drawing stars above her signature, just as she always had, reminding everyone that sometimes the simplest actions can have the most profound impact on the world.